open your conversations. So let's talk about how the pros do it. So I learned this from Ty Lopez, and he talks a lot about opens, right? Sometimes people say, "Oh, it depends how many you close," but in his framework, he talks about, hey, how often you open actually matters more because the person that sometimes even the more times you open, just by the law of large numbers, you just naturally close more deals. So, I mean, let's say you walk into a room, all right, you got the best idea ever, a deal that can help hundreds of families, but no one's paying attention, right? Everyone's eyes are on the phones, their heads are down, and here's the truth. It's not because your message isn't good, it's because your opening didn't work. Right. And this is what I learned. So this is me learning how to teach it back so I can internalize it. But also I want to make sure I pass this lessons on to my kids, our kids. Because I think communication is such an important skill. You gotta be able to figure this out. And in persuasion and in life, how you start the conversation determines whether anyone listens to the rest of what you have to say, right? It's almost as if you knock on someone's door and if you bang really loudly and you yell, I mean, they might not open because they might be scared. But if you smile, you knock gently, and you say their name, they might not feel scared, and they might actually check the people, right? So let's learn how to do that, right? So rule number one: get their attention with relevance. Don't start talking about you, right? Start talking about them. Very simple. When you're opening a pitch or you're meeting someone, you ask yourself, like, hey, what do they care about right now? Right? Instead of saying, hey, we're going to build 80 affordable units, why don't you just say, hey, would you like to see how we're helping X and X and X stay in the city that they love, right? Whoever they care about, right? Whatever their professions are, if they're a workforce, right? If you're engaging the community. And it's almost like this part just showing someone a gift, right? If it's something they love, I mean, they're definitely going to open it and keep it, right? But you got to figure out how to get their attention with what they care about, what they're excited about, right? Ask them, hey, got anything, you work on anything exciting recently? Those are great, great questions to ask. Much better than how are you or what do you do? You ask autopilot questions, you get autopilot answers. So great openings, they speak the language of your listeners' needs, not just your goals. So, rule number two, lead with specific curiosity. Right, the brain is a prediction machine. That's what I learned from Ty. And when your opening creates just the right amount of mystery, it makes people want to feel like they have to listen. And he calls it almost like a hypnotic open, right? And again, this is why we talk about the personalities, right? You got to figure out, hey, what type of person is this person, and how do I want to open so that they actually will resonate with what I got to say. And they're a practical person. You might say, hey, what if I told you that affordable housing could be a 15% IRR investment and a legacy move, right? Or maybe you start to say, hey, there's a pretty big truth about landowners that most developers miss, and it can cost you millions if you don't structure it correctly. And you don't give it all away, right? You're opening a loop and eventually give yourself a method to bring them around. So the best thing to think about this is that don't talk like everybody else because then you get results just like everybody else. That's a problem, right? When we grow up, when we have the same amount of conversations, if we have enough of those conversations, we revert back to that same type of conversation thinking that's normal. But no great mission started with any sense of normalcy. Okay. It's almost as if you start telling a bedtime story and you say, hey, once upon a time, something happened that no one believed was possible. And if you open like that, hey, maybe the listener is going to say, hey, what's next? What's after that? Right. All right. Rule number three, match their energy and then lead it, right? Openings aren't just words, right? Their tone, their body language. We just talked about this, right? The three T's yesterday. And the vibe, right? If someone's serious, like, don't come in just joking right away, right? If someone's upbeat, don't go in flat, right? They always talk about mirroring, mirror, mirror, mirror. But really, you might start off that way, but you might be able to bring them up a level of energy later, right? First mirror, then you guide. When you do jump rope, you don't just jump into it, right? If you do a double dutch rope, you don't just leap without the rhythm. You got to time it right, and then you bring your own bounce into it. Okay, so in practice, match their tone, show that you're present with them, then slowly turn the energy towards the goal. This builds the trust without any sort of resistance, right? Now, this is so good about the reptilian brain, right? The first thing that most human brains default to is they will look at you and say, hey, do I run away from it? Do I eat it? Do I kill it? Right? Is this going to threaten my life? So people are bombarded with pitches and pressure all the time. And a great opener might just say, hey, I'm not here to force. I'm just here to serve and see what happens. Right. Right. And then you just say, like, hey, maybe, hey, if it's not a fit, no worries. Or hey, this is just an idea. But if it feels right, we can talk more. Right. No pressure. That drops people's defenses so fast. And I always try to come up with different analogies for my kid. And it's almost as if you give them a choice, right? You have to give them a choice so that they can have autonomy in what they do. You can ask them, hey, do you want me to help me with this or would you rather help me with that? Right? Either way, they're contributing to the household. They're feeling responsible. They're feeling like they're contributing members of the family. That gives them confidence. It builds respect. So sometimes opening is just about the permission, not the pressure. So I was in this conference and I was in the hallway and I just saw someone approach another investor hoping that they would fund their project. So I started listening, right? Just to see what they were doing. And that person started just out listing the numbers, right? The timeline, the units, just right from the beginning. And the other investor had to say, hey, slow down. This is not the way to build a relationship. All right. Slow down. Start from the beginning. Who are you and why do you care about this? And that's when I realized it's not about opening isn't about impressing, right? Trying to say how many units you have, whatever you do. It's about inviting. So then that person told them about the mission, the family. And maybe 15 minutes later, and then the investor finally said, okay, now I'm listening. So that's what it takes to learn how to build a relationship. If you want more people to want to talk to you, to say yes, don't just practice your pitch, practice your opening and be flexible with that opening. Speak to them, open with value, no pressure, mirror their energy, right? Show that you're a safe person to talk to, and then invite them into something that's bigger than both of you. And that leads to an exciting and rich conversation. And this is how you build the trust over time. So I hope this was helpful, everybody. I think sometimes we dismiss how important these soft skills are. I've done so many conversations or lives about underwriting, right? Analyzing deals, thinking it's all about technical. But then I realized that if I can't explain something in a simple enough manner, I don't really help anybody. And if I don't help anybody, and then I can't impact the lives I want to impact. So this was a good one. I thought it was a very, very important framework. Hey, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning into the last 581 days of live streams. I hope you can take this lesson and teach it back to your kids. And honestly, I'm just looking to become a better dad. So come up with the better analogies. Teach me what you think about, right? Examples that even a fifth grader can understand. Because there's no point in making things more complicated. We have to figure out how to teach our own kids how to speak correctly, how to connect with others, because that is going to be a skill that's going to be in very high demand in a world where people are getting more and more distant. So stick with me here, teach your kids, and help me become a better dad. All right. Have an amazing Friday, everybody. Hope you all spend some quality time with your family and friends today, because that's what life is all about. Thank you so much for caring about affordable housing. Without people like all of you, I would have never had the home I grew up in. So I appreciate you all so much. Have an amazing day. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 582. Have a good one.